Hello, my name is Juliana Forero Arevalo, and today I'll be talking about conclusions and how you can conclude your teaching while presenting in a museum. Firstly, we need to acknowledge why conclusions are important in the first place. Usually, people disregard the conclusions as it's not really important and it doesn't hold that much information. However, you should not be encouraged to think like this. Think of conclusions as the ending of a show or a movie or a book. An example of this would be That 70s Show. A lot of people have a lot of criticism of this show because of the horrible ending, or a lot of people think that it's awful. And what this does is that it overshadows all the good parts of the show. So I'd like to think of conclusions as a dessert of a presentation. So even though you're not bringing anything new, or it's not usual to bring anything new, it's still a vital part of your presentation, and we want to incite thinking. Why your presentation matters and why should people care. So a good way to conclude teaching is, for example, to ask the audience if they have questions. This could incite a conversation between you and your audience. You could also summarize it, but not so shallow. You can go more in depth and maybe give your own perspective of the topic. You can connect the topics to present-day ideas. So if you're thinking about a Renaissance painting, you can connect the themes, or if you had a question surrounding your presentation, you could connect it to how it applies today. Or just start a discussion with the audience on what they liked or learned. This also helps you grow. And what's so wonderful about conclusions is that there's not one way to do it, and it just depends on how you feel and what your audience feels. Some things that you should drift away from are that's all presentation. It's just sort of ending because there's nothing else left to say. That just leaves the audience wanting more, and we don't want that. The thank you for listening, you should be polite and thank your audience, but this sort of cuts people from asking questions. And then the sentence, any questions may be too vague, and it might not give people a chance to think or reflect. This is an example of a conclusion that you can take in order to build your own conclusion. So for example, the situation would be the ending of a presentation on Van Gogh's recurring themes of anxiety, suffering, love, and hope. You can ask the audience their initial perceptions so they can compare them, sort of to think, what did you first think when you saw a Van Gogh piece? How do you feel now, knowing all this information? You can ask, how do you think the audiences would have reacted to Van Gogh's paintings if he was born today? Also, how was he successful at portraying his emotions? So what you want to do is give the audience the chance to share their opinion. And when you ask questions, don't give them a yes or no. Really ask them to think, because the whole purpose of presentations is for people to not only learn, but to share ideas. So not only the audience is learning, but also the person who's presenting.